everybody already has seen the elephant graveyard video. It's all fine. We don't have to cover it. And then I just have people asking about it. So I was like,
what are they asking? I'll answer any other questions.
I mean, not asking, but I've just seen people mentioning you talking about it.
Oh, sure. I could show you this. I thought this was very interesting, and this video is not picking up a lot of speed here. Look at this video we saw. Now, this only has 55K views.
It does?
Only 55K, and that's way more than it had a few weeks when it came out. I mean, it's been out for a while. Let's see. This is 2 weeks old, 55K views, and this is one of the biggest videos out right now. I mean, this should be everywhere. It's by a guy named Scott Carney. I know nothing about Scott Carney. I don't know if he's trustworthy. I don't know what, but this video's got some legs here. Look at this. It's titled, From Pharma Skeptic to Corporate Shill, the Joe Rogan Story. Now, he's got some interesting things that I just have to share with everyone because this isn't being really talked about anywhere, right? Now, we all know about Alpha Brain, right? How many times have you tried Alpha Brain there at home? How many times have I tried Alpha Brain thinking maybe it'll do something? Jules, what was your experience with Alpha Brain, if you could remember?
I've only ever tried it one time. I got nauseous.
Nauseous, yeah. And you hear that from a lot of people. They try Alpha Brain. They don't feel so well. They get nauseous. So Alpha Brain, big popular supplement because of Joe Rogan. Everybody remembers Aubrey Marcus, right? From the Fleshlight, Joe Rogan's old pal, the owner of Onit. Joe is the co-owner of Onit, or was. Wait till you hear what happened here. And they came up with Alpha Brain. It was plugged, I don't know, 20 million times on Joe's podcast over the years. Alpha Brain. You got to take Alpha Brain. I take 6 of them, he says. Well, you got to hear the story of Alpha Brain and what happened. I'll just start from the beginning, right, Jules?
Yeah, just a little.
You got to hear this. This has to get out.
This is better than the special.
This has to get out there. This is like Kumia following the 13-year-old kids on Instagram. This story's got to get out there. So help us get this out. And you could do that by sharing this video with a friend or sharing this clip with a buddy. Watch.
Most vocal critics of Big Pharma in the world. Joe Rogan is one of the most vocal critics of Big Pharma in the world.
One of the most egregious offenses by the pharmaceutical drug companies is distorting the data.
Which is why it is so flabbergasting that someone as suspicious of the medical industry as Joe Rogan would take a $250 to $400 million Big Pharma buyout.
Excuse me, what are you talking about?
Oh, really, dude?
Do you see this on the screen? Look at this.
And 50 to 400.
What is with this $200 million number in Joe Rogan? Is he the luckiest man in the world? Every week he's getting $200 million from someone. I mean, Spotify has given him $200 million twice. How many times has this man received $200 million?
As Joe Rogan would take a 252.
Okay, and you close that graphic way too fast, buddy. That should be up. $250 to $400 million buyout. He sold on it and got around this much money. Listen to this, though. Wait till you see who he sold it to.
Medical industry as Joe Rogan would take a $250 to $400 million Big Pharma buyout from one of the largest corporate conglomerates in the world, one that recently tried to acquire the drug maker GlaxoSmithKline. Yeah, you heard me right. The loudest critic of the pharmaceutical industry is also in bed with it.
But when it comes to things like drugs, and especially when it comes to antidepressants, and when it comes to these things that they're advertising constantly on television, constantly on YouTube, just constantly, the amount of money is so extraordinary. Advertising for pharmaceutical drugs is illegal in every country in the world except for New Zealand and the United States.
The drug companies were very willing to make a buck doing it.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust vaccine science. He claims that
Now, this isn't like a lib guy at all. This guy's also against Big Pharma, as we all are, I hope. Big Pharma almost killed me with that vaccine.
Yep.
The only reason I'm sick is from the vax. Look at the timeline of that. That checks out. The only reason I'm sick is because I didn't get the vax. And imagine how sick I'd be if I got the vax. So this guy's not one of these guys who's like mad at Rogan because he's anti-vax. This is not what this is at all. Okay, so don't think that. Listen to this.
Willing to make a buck doing it.
Yeah.
He doesn't trust vaccine science. He claims that pharmaceutical companies are some of the dirtiest businesses in the world.
It's all profit.
And believes that drug sellers suppress alternative health treatments to bolster their profits.
No one has ever said, you've got to trust these people that have the biggest fucking criminal fines in U.S. history. These people that have been lying to us left and right. They've been tried and convicted for lying.
Any regular listener to his show knows that Rogan believes that Big Pharma is part of a vast dark money conspiracy that manipulates the public for its own financial gain.
Look, I never thought I would be in the center of any sort of controversy about pharmaceutical drugs or about health care.
For the purposes of this video, now I'm not going to fact check those particular claims other than to say that pharmaceutical companies do indeed have immensely troubled histories. I can understand why Rogan and much of his audience is so suspicious of their motives.
He's nice.
Let me break it down. And it's going to get a little wild, so buckle up.
Okay. Where should I go here next?
Do we all know the history of Onit?
Maybe we could look
Just
at
go
that
to
for 1
3
second.
minutes for 1 second.
No. 0300. Ooh, God, it's hard to kind of lift my hand here with all this money on my wrist here. This aura. Okay, let's see this.
To branch out and took a $100,000 loan from a friend.
Whoa! Fleshlight, they're talking Aubrey Marcus.
Anyway, after his time at Fleshlight, Marcus was looking to branch out and took a $100,000 loan from a friend to found a company.
I love how Logan go, bro, you know who I met the other night? Long overdue? Aubrey. And now, brother Jake can actually say the exact same sentence. Bro, you know who I met the other night? Long overdue? Aubrey. Aubrey Marcus, though.
Crazy.
Isn't that nice? So Logan met Aubrey Drake, and Jake met Aubrey Marcus. Sorry, with the Aubrey Drake and Jake and Aubrey, 2 Aubreys. It's a lot. That is a lot. Okay, is this a can of turpentine disguised as a book? This is a metal can of turpentine with a cap. This is paint remover. This is paint thinner.
This place down.
And each one is wrapped in a metal book cover, disguising all these bottles of turpentine. Or it could be bone broth. I accuse this man of all your books are actually cartons of bone broth. Okay, let's see. He's going to talk about Aubrey Marcus here.
That sold hangover cures. It didn't work out. He lost almost the entire investment. By his account, he took his last $20,000 on a Hail Mary pitch to push a cognitive enhancer that he called Alpha Brain. It turned out to be a really smart move. He teamed up with Joe Rogan, who became a partner in his venture, and soon the stock sold out immediately. They were onto something. Alpha Brain became the lead product for their new company, Onit.
That's Alpha Brain. That's
Alpha
really
Brain.
That's the black label Alpha Brain.
Over the next 5 years, Onit grew into a Fortune 500 company with 180 employees. Now, I know what you're thinking.
180?
How did a former professional masturbator who failed at selling hangover cures invent something that makes people's brains work better almost overnight and with almost no investment? Well, here's how he describes it.
I came to you and I said, Joe, what would be the formula that you would like the most?
Looking extra fucking bald there and smooth.
He looks mushy.
Ready to go right up Hela Klein's cooch with that look. So here he is. Listen to how Alpha Brain was created, the drug that he pushed on millions of people.
I came to you and I said, Joe, what would be the formula that you would like the most, that you would use the most? And you said, you thought about it for a second, and you said, a nootropic. I'd like a cognitive enhancer.
It's nootropic. Sorry, not nootropic. Not nootropic. We call it nootropic. This is like look how Joe is sitting. He is ready to shoot into space. Okay.
And you said,
look at that. So that might not be him.
A nootropic. I'd like a cognitive enhancer. I said, okay. and got to work. Started talking to the doctors and medical professionals I knew, started doing the research, started going back and knowing what had worked for me, talked about what had worked for you. And then
Hands on the side.
some 6 to 8 months later, we had a sample batch of what was going to be Alpha Brain.
I don't think I need to tell you that this isn't really how drug development is supposed to work. You don't just call up your friends to get some chemical names and invent a miracle. Rogan says as much over and over again when critiquing the speedy development of the COVID-19 vaccine.
If you look at the COVID vaccine, for example, they sold us something that wasn't accurate. They said that it was going to stop transmission. They said that it was going to stop infection. It did neither of those things.
Yeah.
They also said that it was going to offer long-lasting protection. It did not. It just didn't. And they said that it was safe and effective. How can they know that? It's a new product. And you're administering it to hundreds of millions of people without a lengthy trial period like they do with every other drug.
Alpha Brain has a few ingredients in it. There's L-theanine, there's oat straw extract, and bacopa, as well as something called alpha GPC, which is
go to
shock of shocks.
0730.
What is that? Say that again.
0730.
There you go. Okay, listen.
It would mean the world to me if you'd consider it. And now,
thank you.
with that out of the way, in order to bolster their results, Rogan and Marcus ran their own small clinical trial that showed what they claimed were significant improvements in mental acuity after a short run with their $59 supplement bottle. To put it succinctly, the study was terrible. In fact, in many ways, it showed the exact opposite results that it claimed were scientifically backed during their endless promotion of the product. Compared to the placebo, Alpha Brain only had statistically significant effects on 3 out of 27 categories. In all of the other cases, the placebo was the same or even better than the active group. If this wasn't a bought and paid for study, the whole thing would have been thrown out. Instead, Marcus and Rogan doubled down on those tenuous results and made a fortune. As an aside, I need to...
So what's our next code? 850?
He explains some.
Right here.
I mean, this is about the significant part. He explains
Sure,
the
that's okay.
definition
People
of that
understand.
is different
Yeah.
in clinical trials. It actually means barely anything.
Sure. 850?
Yeah.
All right, listen to this.
a whole video on it down the line. Let me know if you want to see that down in the comments.
Stop it.
All of this together is at least part of the reason that Alpha Brain is currently being sued
They're
in
being
New York
sued.
for making false business claims. According to a complaint filed in April 2023, Alpha Brain's ubiquitous marketing claims are, quote, blatantly false and deceptive because even its own flawed clinical study revealed that Alpha Brain does not improve memory, focus, and mental processing speed. The suit goes on to explain how Alpha Brain generates a staggering $100 million a year in revenue.
Wow.
The lawyers say that Alpha Brain violated the laws in New York when its founders claimed over and over again that the supplement actually works. Because even when you're an experienced grifter, you can't say exactly this.
These extracts have been proven to be beneficial.
The reality is that the supplement has no clinically proven benefits. Their own scientific study contradicts their claims, and that's why right now Onit has removed several of their roughly 250 products, muscle builders and creatine mostly, from the New York market, lest they be sued again for making even more false claims.
Okay, and then this is the part. Here's the part that I think is going to bother people. This next one coming up at, whoa. 1:30, does that work? Okay, listen to this. So Joe Rogan sold Onit. Wait till you see who he sold it to.
And his power to cast doubt on Fauci and the CDC response at the same time that he was selling this bogus brain pill. In April 2021, Marcus and Rogan decided to sell their company so they could work on other ventures. And according to an interview on Onit's website, Marcus is quoted as saying, as part of the Unilever family, Onit is now going to bring its principles and values to Unilever so that they can take on some of what makes us great. Unilever is one of the largest consumer conglomerates in the world. It sells soap, supplements, food, and pharmaceutical drugs. It attempted to purchase GlaxoSmithKline a few years ago and is pretty much the definition of everything that someone who is skeptical of capitalism fears and is critical of. So when Marcus and Rogan sold Onit to Unilever for an astonishing, undisclosed 9-figure sum that is reported to be between $250 and $400 million, Well, maybe it's worth considering some of the inherent contradictions between what Rogan claims he believes in and what his actions actually demonstrate.
They sold us something that wasn't accurate.
After all, if Rogan is a critic of big money grubbing companies using fake science to sell poorly tested vaccines to the planet in some big government conspiracy, then shouldn't he be above doing the exact same thing himself? In fact, well, now that I think about it, perhaps Rogan's criticism of the CDC and the FDA are really reflections of his own business decisions.
When it comes to things like drugs, and especially when it comes to antidepressants and when it comes to these things that they're advertising constantly on television, constantly on YouTube, just constantly. The amount
on your
of
own
money
show
is so extraordinary.
If he is so comfortable cashing in on pseudoscience and snake oil, perhaps he thinks that it's just the way that the world is, and that if he can't beat them, he should join them.
It's all profit.
If that's the truth, then it's a cynical truth. And it says a lot about how much trust anyone should put into Joe Rogan or his partner in assisted masturbation, Aubrey Marcus.
Got him.
Snake oil.
Yeah, snake oil is another one.
Wow, thank you so much.
Thank
the
you so much
fleshlight.
to all
Oh,
the
thank you.
supporters on Patreon.
We're not supporting you. We're not hitting like. We're not watching another video. Shut the fuck up.
No, great video. Give him a
Great video. You
view.
gotta stop with all the begging, guys. People like your video, they'll check out more. It needs to end. Cheers to Joe Rogan. I hope this lawsuit puts a dent. Wouldn't it be funny if it turns into one of those $1 billion lawsuits? Cheers, guys. Let's take one of these here. This is what time?